Hank. Welcome to another edition of the Skull Sessions. And today my guest is Tom Clark. So what's up, Tom?
Hey, how you doing, Dan? I'm hanging in there, staying alive like the Bee Gees.
Or maybe we're all like in the Matrix, so none of us are really alive. We just think we are.
Yeah, we're just batteries powering a bunch of computers.
Yeah, well, it's possible. Actually, I think Elon Musk thinks it's more likely that we are in a simulation than we really exist.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But
Elon who?
the billionaire, Tesla, space.
I got friends that
I
could
don't
make
know.
better
I haven't
pickup
pretty much
trucks.
heard of him. Yeah, but all right, man. So let's talk about you. What do you got going on?
Not much. Right now I'm working on a book called Whirlwind, and I got a collaborator that's an artist, Miguel Amaro Santiago. He and I are working on a hybrid graphic novel slash prose collection. It's going to include serialized stories that you're going to get a portion of that are graphic stories. And it's also going to have prose short stories that will be in their complete form in there too, that Miguel has done inspirational art for.
How do you break it down? Is like there any storyboarding, or is it just like images that like support the writing?
For the comic strips, for the serialized stories that we're doing that are all traditional comic book form, I'm writing scripts for those. And one story is his, and I'm doing his idea, and I'm actually physically writing it for him because he's not it's someone in his
That's his forte.
wheelhouse right now. The writing part
Yeah.
isn't. I'm teaching him so that when he's not with me, he's able to do it. And the other one is a project that I've been working on for some years now that I first envisioned as a graphic novel, and then I decided to try to do it as a prose book. And then last year I lost all 60,000 words that I had written.
How'd you lose them? Were
I
they in
accidentally
like flash drive or something?
I accidentally deleted them from my Google Drive. Yeah, yeah. But I did have an
So how
earlier.
dramatic was the scene after you found out you'd done that?
I cried for 2 days. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So I had found a PDF that I had given to a workshop that I had been working on the book in, and I saved that much of it. And what I decided to do is, instead of reinventing the wheel, just go back to stage one. I had the first script already written for the first issue. I presented it to Miguel. I said, this is what I have in mind. Do you want to do it? And he said, absolutely. And the idea behind it is that Doc Holliday, the gunfighter, is a vampire in modern day. And
Okay.
that big nose Kate, his common law wife, was actually Elizabeth Bathory hiding in the States.
Oh, that's pretty clever. So
Yeah.
was Doc Holliday a vampire way back then, or he
He
turned
became
as
a
a
vampire then, yes.
oh, okay.
Because he had TB, so tuberculosis. He died when he was having sex with Kate, and she brought him back as a vampire.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's a cool twist. Um,
Yeah.
what you're like I guess you had a debate mentally about what to do with this like a graphic novel and then eventually approach like what made you want to do it as a comic book?
It was always going to be a comic book to begin with. And meeting Miguel gave me the opportunity to take it down that avenue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I met him about almost 2 years ago at a shitty little convention in Conklin, New York. In fact, it was on the same day that the guy went nuts in Buffalo, New York, in the Tops, and he was from Conklin, so we're in Conklin, going, oh my god,
Like I
and
know him.
we know he's from here.
Yeah.
Thank God he went there, not here. Um, any loss of life is tragic. I wish he hadn't done what he did, that guy. But that's where I met Miguel, was at a convention in Conklin. And he bought one of my books, one of those books that had one of my stories in it, and he loved the story so much he drew fan art for it. And I ran into him a month later, and he gave me the fan art, and I was like, "Oh, that's him trying to tell me something." So he likes my writing and my writing style. He likes the things that where I write from. Most of my horror comes from folk horror or mythology. So he likes that. And
Well, I know there's now a category of folk horror. Would you say yourself fits in there, or that's kind of like a later, like, more refinement of it, or
my reviewers and my fans have called me the master of splatter folk. I guess that's my niche. It's splatter punk meets folk horror.
Right.
Push them together, and that's what you get.
Slightly more graphic folk horror.
Yes, yes. If the one scene that's in Midsummer was more prolific through that movie, the old guy falling off the cliff, and then getting his head smashed in. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, if Midsummer had more going on, it's my kind of stuff.
So,
American Werewolf in London. An American Werewolf in London is a great example of my fiction.
oh, okay.
It's folk horror. There's a lot of gore. There's sex in it.
Didn't they remake the movie? Like I saw the original, quite a few times, but I think
they did a sequel. They did a sequel called American Werewolf in Paris, which was awful.
I saw that. Yeah, it was horrible.
But they are doing a remake. They just announced it recently that there's going to be a remake of an American Werewolf in London done. I just hope they remember what made the original one work. Because that original one really.
How high are your hopes for the remake?
Well, again, if they remember what it's about.
Have you seen anybody associated with it, like the director or
no,
the actors?
I don't know who's associated.
So you have no idea yet, yeah.
None.
If you had to name some of your top werewolf movies, what would you name?
Number one's American Werewolf in London, and it's tied with The Howling.
Oh yeah.
Number three is Ginger Snaps. Number four is Reservoir Dogs. Not Reservoir Dogs. Dog Soldiers. Reservoir Dogs is a werewolf movie. Would have been better.
it would have been. It would have been. I don't know how you would have pulled it off.
Wolf, Mr. Werewolf.
Yeah. But I thought Reservoir Dogs was an awesome movie. But see, the only thing about Dog Soldiers, I remember I liked it. Right, there's like one scene I didn't like out of it, which is where the female werewolf is like, "I guess it's that time of the month." I'm like, "Oh, that's so fucking cheesy."
Well, that's the problem I had with Ginger Snaps too. Ginger Snaps really would have worked better if it had been revealed that her mother was a werewolf, who was the other werewolf.
Right.
And the story tried to point you in that direction. And I think Ginger Snaps would have been a much more endearing film if that had been the case.
I never saw Ginger Snaps. Is that the one with Megan Fox?
No, that's the one with Catherine Elizabeth in it.
Yeah, I never saw that.
There's also Bad Moon, which is really good. It's an adaptation of the novel Thor.
Okay.
That would have been better. Again, Thor is from the dog's POV. So if they had kept it from the dog's POV, maybe Bad Moon would have been a better movie. But in my opinion, it's not that it's a bad movie. Don't get me wrong. It's a good movie.
Did you see the remake of Wolfman?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, I liked it.
I thought it was good. I know a number of people talked down, but I was like, I enjoyed it.
You see, what people forget is what the werewolf and the wolf man represents in fiction. And I'm not saying this to get political or social or whatever on this. But the werewolf is when it was originally conceived for that Wolfman movie was, well, let me ask you this, Dan. You've seen the Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah.
It takes place during World War II, right?
Right.
How many Germans and Nazis are in that movie?
I don't recall because it's been so long since I've seen that movie, and I've
Zero.
seen zero. Okay.
Zero. So who's the Nazi in that movie? There's still a Nazi in that movie. Who's the Nazi?
I don't know.
Larry Talbot,
Yeah.
the American.
Well, I always think in every movie, whether it's like Frankenstein or whatever, I always think the monster is like way cooler than the people.
Well,
And
here's the
often
thing.
the monster is kind of like the misunderstood, like especially with Frankenstein, like Frankenstein's monster is
Well, there's
like people just won't leave him alone. They try to fucking kill him all the time.
there's nothing to misunderstand with the Wolfman and what it was talking about. The man who wrote the screenplay for that, Clifford Sideman, is a Jew. And when that movie screenplay was originally written, you know how the gypsies and you've got the girl with the pentagram on her hand, she's going to
Yeah.
be the next victim. Well, originally that was a Star of David, and originally they weren't gypsies; they were just Jews.
No, no.
Because of anti-Semitism in Hollywood, they were forced to remove that aspect from them,
I
and they
believe it.
replaced it with the
Yeah.
gypsies and the pentagram.
Yeah, I did not
The,
know that. Yeah.
the
I mean,
Nazi,
I believe it, but I didn't know that.
the Nazi that is in the Wolfman movie is Larry Talbot, the Wolfman, to show that how close America is to becoming fascist. And this was during World War II. This film was made.
Okay.
All right, that was the whole point of it. The Wolfman or the werewolf character in fiction represents the Nazi. And it's
Um,
our job as creators nowadays to either embrace that and have that be our villain, or if we don't want that, we can flip it on its head and we can make something better out of that trope.
I feel like we're kind of always on like the verge of like the of that happening. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you know, I think that stuff gets like especially with like social media these days, and it's dying. So they always like jump on whatever they think is going to give them
Mm-hmm.
the most sales and the most visibility and whatever. But you know, there's a lot of stuff. Like I remember, I'm old, so
I'm
I
old too.
remember the Satanic Panic of the '80s, and I remember
Oh
like
yeah, I
all
lived
the
through that.
protests when NWA. You
My
know,
mom took my Blue Oyster Cult albums away from me because the title said cult.
yeah, no, my parents are hardcore religious, and I
Mine are too.
remember
My
one
mom
day
was.
I came home. I was working at a deli. I came home from the deli, and my even more religious grandparents were there at the dinner table with all my CDs stacked up, and she was going through it and deciding what I got to keep and what I didn't get to keep. And it's weird because like at the time I was like super into punk rock, so like I had like a they didn't like Minor Threat. And I was like, dude, Minor Threat is probably the clean, like they're straight edge. They're like, you know, don't drink, don't smoke, don't have promiscuous sex. It's like you want people like Minor Threat, but no, they didn't like Minor Threat because I think Minor Threat had like a curse word in it or something. But yeah, yeah. I remember like people would pull up over stuff and then it would go down and people would just kind of get over it and then move along. But it always feels like we're right on the edge of like people like, you know, how about freedom of speech? How about freedom of this? How about they always try to restrict and then they kind of back down when there's too much public pressure. But we need to keep that up, the public pressure.
Yeah, yeah. Freedom of speech doesn't give you the right to be a dick to people. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Well,
the way I look.
yeah, well, it's a little bit divisive. I mean, you know, obviously, I don't want to get like too much on like the political, social thing because
Right.
you know everyone has different, you know, different outlooks and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
you know that's kind of not what the podcast is about. But it's like you know, I know that people get offended. You know, technically, with freedom of speech, I think it's your right to offend people, but it's their right to say something about it.
Yes.
It's like their right to react
It
to
works
it.
both ways.
Yeah, yeah.
It
So
sure
I
sure
don't
does.
like. if you say something that people don't like, that I wouldn't say that's an assault, but I wouldn't say that them saying something back to you is an assault either. It's like their word, like assault is like when you actually physically hit somebody,
Yeah.
and then I think that should be illegal,
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't be striking people. We live in the civilized society. You don't do that. You talk it
Well, we
out.
think we do.
We
I
think we
don't
think
know
we
how
do.
civilized it is. Like I remember like being in the South, a punk rocker in the South in the '90s,
Oh
and it was
God.
not very civilized.
That Bible Belt, let me tell you, man. No
I had a
disrespect
blue
to
mohawk and
any
a
Christians
spiky
out there.
little jacket, and I was like the social pariah. You know,
Oh, I can imagine.
like I remember, like those little trails, the paved trails behind houses, for bicycles, and
Mm-hmm.
like when they go over like a creek, they have like a little bridge. So I was on the bridge smoking a cigarette. Somebody called the cops saying a suspicious character is lighting himself on fire. They showed up, dragged me to jail, fingerprinted me, photographed me, gave me community service and a fine.
And you were just going out to have a cigarette.
I was having a cigarette, and I remember the cops like threw me in his car and patted me down. Two packs of smokes and 3 packs of matches. They're like, "Why do you have all the matches?" I'm like, "Because I fucking smoke." and
They just didn't like your appearance,
cops don't
man.
like it when you're like snotty to them, but I mean, it was also 17, so fuck them.
Hey, you were being honest. You were being honest,
Yeah. But anyways, all right, man. So let's talking about me and my great relationship with the cops. Let's talk about what you got going on.
So
So
I got those two things that I'm working on now. Whirlwind is my book that I'm working on now. That is velociraptors going crazy and killing people in a campground.
okay,
And
awesome.
come on. Dinosaurs are fiction bacon. There's lots of great fiction bacon out there. You got dinosaurs, you got pirates, cowboys.
Fiction bacon.
There are things that make any story better. And hey, I could have a serial killer going through a campground and killing people, sure, but velociraptors doing it is so much more fun.
Well, it's more original too.
Yeah. Because the real velociraptors, the Velociraptor mongolius, the ones not the Utah raptors that are in the Jurassic Park movies, but Velociraptor mongolius is the size of an American turkey,
Well,
and they're
we keep finding stuff that we think died, like hundreds of years ago. We're like, oh wait, that's still alive. Okay. Uh,
yeah. Yeah, so
it,
so this turkey farm is genetically engineering velociraptors because it's cheaper to do that than to free range the turkeys. So I'm
I
playing in on the
I'm actually not surprised.
I'm playing in
Um,
on on PETA there and that kind of thing. But yeah, everybody dies. I kill everybody, and it's fun. And
People
they all
be
get eaten.
tasty animals.
Yeah, they get eaten alive. It's great. It's
um,
great.
I went to. I remember at one point. In my this is like when I was 18, and I was like, I would take whatever job I can get. I went door to door for Greenpeace. Like you knock on doors, and they drop us in rich neighborhoods, and like the people are like, "Who are these scumbags?" So they talk to us through like the mail slot. So I'd be trying to talk to them, they're like talking to me through the mail slot. It's like, can't even fucking open the door, you know. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So going back to, I'm curious about the graphic novel thing. What made you decide graphic novel? Like had you put out like a number of prose book before that, and then you decided I'll venture into a graphic novel?
All right. What was that? I just
So
ADD'd on you, man. I had a whole thing to say, and then boom. I hate ADD. It just tries it. Squirrels, look. Ah. So what was the question again?
No, I said I was curious about the whole graphic novel thing because
I got
it seems
lucky
like a
finding
weird leap.
an
Like
artist.
did you do a number of prose novels and then you
I've
decided I'll
got I've
do
got I've got a bunch of pros out there now.
But did you have it before the graphic novel thing, and then you
Oh yeah,
thought,
yeah, 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 yeah,
so
yeah.
what made you decide to express like one story
Because
as a
I'm
graphic novel?
expanding. I'm expanding. I'm trying to do other things and just other creative things. I want to do screenplays. I want to do everything.
Okay, so this is just like you're like, oh, this would be a cool graphic novel story. I'll do this as a graphic novel. I haven't done
Yeah.
that before.
Hmm.
Okay, was there an inspiration? Like, did you see or read something? You're like, hey, I really like the look at that one. I tried that.
Yeah. The Ultimates.
Okay,
Seriously, Mark Millar and in Mark Millar's writing's just amazing.
okay,
I loved how he took the Avengers and updated them to a modern era. And Brian Hitch's art is just so realistic. And one of the things I like about Miguel is that his art is very similar to Brian Hitch's and to Bernie Wrightson's.
okay. Yeah, I'm a huge Burning Rush fan.
Yeah, yeah, and so am I. But if you put those together, you got Miguel on Amaro.
Okay.
He really is Brian Hitch meets Bernie Wrightson. He really is, and he just needed direction, and I have given that to him.
Uh,
We'll see where we're going to go with it. So far so good. We've been working together well.
so
I
what is it? It's like you have different like characteristics going in the novel. Like part of it's prose, part of it's storyboarding, part of it's
oh
illustration.
no. This collection curses. It's going to be. We're going to put them out 3 times a year.
Okay.
We're hoping that's right now that's the goal, and maybe 2 times a year. Who knows? But there's going to be short self-contained short stories within them. Um, and then there's going to be serialized panel stories, graphic stories. So part one of the stories will be in the first release. The next issue that comes out will have a continuation of those stories. We want to have a reason for people to come back and buy more of them from us, right?
Well, that's the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's a hybrid. It takes two things that are great and puts them together.
Okay. Yeah, I remember like the thing for me, like I always couldn't decide if I wanted to be an artist or a writer.
I
And then
can't draw to save my life, so it was easy for me.
I
You're a great tattoo artist, so I'm sure that you're like you can draw and write. That works out to your favor, Dan. It really
yeah,
does.
thank you, thank you.
It'll save you a
Um,
lot of money on cover art, that's for sure.
it actually does because I paint all my covers. But yeah, no, like so I could decide, and then I read Watchmen. I don't know if you read
I
Watchmen,
love Watchmen.
but I read Watchmen. I was like, holy shit, I can do both. Because until
Yep.
then, the comics I'd read were like, I mean, they were bad, but they were like, way more basic. And the Watchmen is like very complex. And like, I was like, oh, this is great. So then I was going to be a comic artist like that. And,
Okay.
and so, I mean, being like a, stubborn adolescent, I was like, I was submitting to like Marvel and DC and stuff, and they all wanted me to do their characters. I was like, no, I'm gonna do my shit, And then I remember I wasn't getting a job. I did like political cartoons and all this stuff. Then moved to New York City and maybe with DC Comics, and that's right when they almost all went bankrupt. Like the movie saved them. So I decided, after I had like one bad interview at DC, where they only wanted me to draw their characters, and I was like, fuck this. So I started doing illustrated novels, and that's what I'm happy with
One
now.
thing I like to do
Um,
with all my books is have illustrations in them. The reason I
yeah,
work with St. Rooster Books is because Stephanie Murr, Tim Murr's wife, is a hell of a great artist. And she does really good line drawings. And
yeah,
I like
no, it's
line
awesome.
drawings.
I think a lot of like modern stuff is kind of missing that. Like, I don't know if you remember, I used to like we'd be isolated army bases in my dad's army. So I'd go to the library and I'd check out books. And I have this whole stack of books, but a lot of them, by the time they make it to the library, they've been out for like a decade or whatever. So a
Right.
lot of them are like those older style where they have like little drawings on all the corners. I thought that was so fucking cool.
Plus, I love the old Creepy and Eerie's too, the old black and white magazines,
Oh
because
yeah.
they didn't they also had prose stories in them too.
Okay.
So that's one of the inspirations for curses
Okay.
is the old EC comics and war and eerie and creepy and all those that you know had all that great art and all those great visuals in them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, definitely. You know what happened with all those? Like, EC
Yeah,
Comics was like the biggest thing going,
yeah,
and then they had it was called they were the like they were basically witch trials, but they were like
yeah.
Frederick Wortham did the book called Seduction of the Innocent. So he
Oh
said
yeah, welcome
people
to
are reading
Puritan
this shit.
morals influencing American law once again. But we have separation of church and state here until it's
We
comes
should,
to that
yeah.
shit. Yeah,
Well, I
fuck
mean, don't
yeah.
give me that. I mean, we should fucking take it off the money and the Pledge of Allegiance or what is it like? Maybe not the Pledge of Allegiance, maybe it's the song. I don't know,
Don't
but
get me started. I have a lot of friends that are Christians and I love them and good Christians are good Christians. But if you subscribe to Puritan moralistic viewpoints, I got no space for you. Okay, I got no space for you getting mad because I said a Saxon word. Fuck you. Okay, really, seriously, and it just drives me up a fucking wall. It really does. This country is many cultures combined together to create something new and unique. And
no, I
I'm sorry, the
agree. Yeah.
Puritans didn't
Well,
leave
I live
England
in New
because they were
York, and
fleeing
every time I
persecution.
moved out of New York somewhere else, I'm like, dude, this I miss how like how
This
awesome it
whole
is in New York.
country
It's like a
is.
melting pot.
Yeah, but if you take religion out of the freaking picture, everything's even better.
Right.
It really
Well,
is.
no, I agree. I do think with religion, like, you can have your religion, of course. You can believe
Yeah, don't
whatever the fuck
enforce it
you
on
want.
me.
Just don't push it on me. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
So it's like, when they come up with these morals that like, the PMRC and stuff that the
Yep,
whole
that's all
country
part of that. Yep.
has to abide by. I'm like, why? That's you. That's not me.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. It drives me up a wall. That's also one of the this attitude that you and I are sharing right now is one of the fundamental building stones of punk rock music,
Right.
just for example.
Yes, do your
And
own thing. Leave me
yeah,
alone and let me do my thing.
hmm yeah, you've lived it, right down to being accosted by the cops because you're smoking a butt. My worst
There's
and
more. I was
yeah,
homeless for 8 months, like lived in the woods, homeless, like
Jesus.
showers in McDonald's bathroom and
Oh,
the sink. And I had a friend that felt sorry for me and bought me a bag of rice. And from Werewolves called Giants, like a Stop and Shop or whatever. It's like the big
right.
supermarket. So he bought me a bag of rice, and I put that in a cup, with some water. Put it in. I had a friend who had he lived in a trailer outside of the college. So I go there and I microwave it in his trailer, and then I had salt and pepper I stole from McDonald's. I put that on top of it. That kept me alive for 2 weeks.
Jeez. I thought I had it bad when I was selling my paperback collection to get ramen noodles back in the day.
I've eaten so much ramen. Yeah.
Ramen noodles, man. The poor musicians or poor artists or poor writers cuisine of choice because that's all you can get.
I'd also get sardines in a can and
Oh
tuna
man,
in a
potted
can.
meat,
Yeah, yeah.
potted meat. I can make a
Well,
mean casserole out of chicken, cream of chicken soup, ramen noodles, and a can of corn. That's all I'm gonna say,
well,
and a
you,
can of
you
tuna.
kind of learn to like make do with what you have.
Yep.
I mean that's what a lot of like I really love Louisiana like their a lot of their foods just like is a mix everything they put
Yeah.
together like the jambalaya and stuff and you're like
Well, it's
dude
just like
but
the
it
Cajun
tastes fucking
language, which
awesome.
is a mishmash of French, English, and Native
Yeah,
American. You know,
yeah.
I
Plus
think that lends to our creativity. This food
fried
creations that
alligator
we
is
have.
awesome. I love fried alligator.
I've had alligator bites at the state fair here.
Did you like him?
I like them. They taste like chicken.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back to let's go back to your work and what you got going on. I don't want to talk about jambalaya all day, even though it is pretty delicious. But
Speaking of which, there's the Cooks of Horror book is coming out soon, and I have a recipe in that.
oh, okay,
Um, that is being put out by the Books of Horror people,
okay,
and my recipe in it is for boiled dinner, the traditional Irish boiled dinner, where you can use either corned beef, ham, or hobo.
okay,
If hobos were legal to eat, okay,
right.
only if hobos were legal to eat.
There's no people in there, like Solid Green or.
It's a hobo, right? Right. I have a story coming up in the first ever Black Sabbath tribute anthology,
Okay,
Hand of Doom. We all got to pick songs from different eras of Black Sabbath's career
okay.
and write short stories inspired by them. I chose to go with the Tony Martin era.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay,
speaking of which, because as we record this today, the those Tony Martin albums were re-released. And my song that I chose was off the Tear album. It was the trilogy of the Battle of Tyr, Odin's Court, and Valhalla. Those three songs that are together there. They're like three songs, but they're one song. And it is pretty progressive. It's about
okay.
archaeologists finding Ivar the Boneless's lost tomb and
No,
what
okay.
happens. Yeah, let's just say it's interesting. We'll put it to you
Yeah,
that way.
I kind of gave up after like the Aussie era.
Oh, I
Uh,
love Dio. I love Ozzy. I love Dio. I love Tony Martin. I
I
love Black
like
Sabbath.
Dio by himself. I don't like him as much, but like when he's by himself, he did like Holy Diver. Holy Diver is great, and then the Killswitch Engage cover of Holy Diver, I think, is even better. Like Howard Jones.
Oh
Like,
yeah, the
have you
Killswitch
seen that?
Engage version is really good.
Yeah, Howard Jones is an amazing singer.
He is.
And I met him. I met him at CBGB's way back in the day. He's really nice.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
But all right, so let's go back to what you got going on. Like, how much do you have out now? Do you have stuff that's like been pulled that's gonna be re-released? What's going on?
Um, I two pieces that I've had out. I pulled that was my short story collections, a book of Light and Shadow, and a trunk of forgotten lore. And the reason I did that is because they didn't represent my brand as much. They were just stories thrown together. They weren't curated.
Did they like back in the day? Was it kind of like where you were at,
It
and
was
now you're like,
it was everything that I had written.
okay,
And this was published in 2018, so what, 5 years ago, 9 years ago now. Wow. Nine, 28, no, 6 years ago. 6 years ago now. So that's when I published that. And then um
we're
I
stepping in
pulled
the
that
future a little bit.
two of those stories are in my most recent collection, Immoral Dilemmas. And two of them are going to be in my next collection, We Are 13.
Okay.
Yeah. That's going to be a
Those
folklore
are
ornament
collections and
collection.
short stories by you.
Yes, that are, yeah. Immoral Dilemmas is already out. Uh, We Are 13 will be coming out next year.
So they're putting together short stories and collections, but you have full novels as
Yes,
well.
yep, yep. Good Boy is my first novella. It's Homeward Bound with Zombies. Then there's Bella's Boys, which is Home Alone meets Spinal Tap meets Halloween.
Okay.
Yep. And then there is that was then there is the Death List. That's Home Alone meets Bella meets Halloween. Excuse me. Bella's Boys is Stephen King wrote hentai. Excuse me. I get lost in my pitches. And then there's The God Provides, which is my version of the Cycle of the Werewolf. It's my werewolf book.
Okay.
And then there's Summer Home, which is my haunted assisted living home book. And that's got fairy cats in it and ghosts and witch hunters and ghost hunters. It's pretty cool. And then there is A Prayer from the Dead, which is my cyberpunk book.
Okay.
And that is basically the Boondock Saints meets The Crow meets Escape from New York in The Handmaid's Tale. It touches again on how much I don't like Puritans. They've taken over the country, and the rest of the Christians don't like it. So I took the troubles in
I mean,
Ireland and I
I
put
think
them in a
I
future
think
America.
all those references are great. Like I'm a fan of all that stuff. Um,
But yeah, those are what I got out now.
okay, awesome. And do you have a like a website where people can
Yeah,
see this?
thomasrclark.com.
Okay. And you have
No E.
a Amazon author page?
Yep, I got an Amazon author page as well.
Are you on Goodreads?
I am on Goodreads.
So are you on everything? Are you
I'm
on
in Godless. I'm everywhere. You can get my stories in
are you on
Godless.
TikTok?
I'm on TikTok. Token bottom score Tom.
Do you do the dances?
TOKEN. No, I don't. I shame other writers that do awful things in the horror community, like like when they share nudes of girls, and they shouldn't be doing that because it's piggy.
Do
Yeah.
artists do that?
Oh yeah, we just had two guys in the community get kicked out for doing that. Yep.
What they were posting it on
No, they
social
were
media?
taking pictures. They were taking nudes that were given to them confidentially from other women, and they were sharing them with each other. And one of them was a married man whose daughter found out that he was doing it and screenshotted everything.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, it's pretty bad when your kid finds out, buddy. Pornhub's free. That's all I'm gonna say. You know?
Have you heard the joke about Jared from remember Jared from Subway?
Oh yeah. That's why Subway doesn't do as well anymore.
Well, the joke is that he went from eating footlongs to tossing salads.
Oh God. Before he was convicted, I wouldn't have condoned that joke, but since he is a convicted,
Well,
hey,
that they knew he was like that before they hired him.
they did.
Yeah, they hired him because they didn't think it would come out. They're just like,
Guess what, kids? It all comes out. It always comes out.
and then he just got like, I mean, he got way worse, but like, I think he already owned like a sex store and stuff before they hired him. Like he was not. It wasn't like some
He was
upstanding
a fat guy that
citizen
owned
who.
I'm not body shaming you. He was a fat guy that owned a sex store.
Yes.
And he
Well,
walked down,
you would
he
kind of
walked a
have
mile
to.
every day down to the Subway down the street from his sex store to get that sub that he lost weight with. Okay, I got you now.
Well, I mean, if you're that overweight, you probably need like a blow up doll or something.
Get tired of popping them, probably.
Yeah, well, yeah, but if
They were pretty
if
expensive
you're in
back
a
then,
store,
but
you probably get them at like cost. So it's like, well, I just bought my other one last night, so this is why you need one.
yeah. Yeah. Some people are just nuts, man. They really
Well,
are.
I agree with that. We committed them are elected officials, but
Oh, yeah, they're all bananas. I don't care who they are.
but
That's
that's
another punk rock thing there. See? You still got that attitude, Dan.
yeah.
We're going to
Well,
be rooming together.
KillerCon, yeah, it would be awesome.
Watch out for that, kids. Dan and I are gonna be rooming together at KillerCon. So
Dun 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 dun.
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of shenanigans going on. I found my long lost brother that I didn't know I have lives near Austin, and they're coming to meet us there, and they're gonna take us to a vampire club called the
Oh,
Elysium.
cool. Yeah.
And with the name being Elysium, that tells me that the owners of it played World of Darkness.
Right.
Because Elysium was one of the places that you went to in that game where nobody would mess
Isn't
with
there a band like Elysium Fields or something?
Yeah, but that's probably based off of Greek mythology.
Okay.
Because that's where that comes from originally. But for a vampire bar to be called Elysium, yeah, they played World of Darkness.
No, that's awesome. Okay, I did year before last, and me and Jeff Strand and
Well, there's a karaoke bar we're going to too.
okay. I did karaoke once and I suck.
And the karaoke bar is a pagan bar too. So it'd be
awesome.
You won't have anybody judging us there.
But I the year before last, me and Hold on, my dog's knocking shit over. Me and Jeff Strand and Lynn Hanson and a bunch of other people went to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre gas station, which is now a restaurant.
Yeah, I saw those pictures.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I enjoyed it. But all
Yeah,
right,
it's gonna be a
man.
fun time. That'll be my first time going to Austin. It'll be my first time going to a Killer Con. I can't wait to meet Lisa and Christina
Oh,
and
Lisa's
young
cool. Yeah, she's
John
really cool.
and Susan and everybody out there. Christine Morgan. I can't wait to meet everybody.
Oh, she's cool too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in that mythology I just released where it's like I have a bunch of people in it, like they all put a story in there. So she put one in, it's great. Jess Duran, Bridget Nelson. It's a good anthology. I'll
What
send
was
you a copy if you want to check it
what's
out.
the name of it?
It's called The Never Dead.
Oh yes, I've seen that. Yes, that looks good.
So
Good deal there that you did, man.
yeah, thank you, thank you.
Good talent that you got in that.
Thank you. And the nice thing was like I was able to put illustrations in every story because I drew them all. I mean, it's kind of a labor of love because it takes fucking forever. But yeah,
Yeah.
I drew them all. So I was happy with the way it came out.
Yeah,
But
I've seen some of the work that you did in that too. It looks good.
oh, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, they
Um,
shared the pictures online.
okay, man. So do you have anything else you want to throw out? Any links or anything?
Yeah, just thomasrclark.com. Check my stuff out. Most of my books take place in the same world, so you'll see Easter eggs in them that
Oh,
link
they
them
kind of have
together.
like a continuity, kind of like
It's not
Stephen
a
King.
continuity so much as that they are laterally connected.
Okay.
Characters from different stories cross over.
Okay.
Um, Places, things, events, they impact things. Like Whirlwind that I'm writing now takes place during Summerhome. In Summerhome, there's a dare echo. You know what a dare echo is?
No.
It's a straight line windstorm. It's basically a tornado that's not a tornado. It's very long. It's hundreds of miles long, and it does devastating damage. Well, a dare echo strikes in Summerhome, and that leads to what happens at the turkey farm.
Okay.
That I yeah, that's where that's how the dinosaurs get loose from the turkey farm is because of the power outage that was caused by the storm.
Oh,
So
so it
things
all
that
works
happen in my
together.
books influence other books that I write. And it's something that I'm thinking about doing in the future, just to fuck with people, is writing a time travel story and then writing a sequel to it that impacts the original story, then going back and re-releasing the original story with the changes that happened in it because of the time travel. To see who catches it.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody will, but the vast majority of people will be like, "Yeah, well, I don't know why you did this," and
Hey, I always think outside the box.
well,
This is where you think, this is where I think, outside of
yeah, but a lot of people are fucking morons, so
That's
so
why we gotta write for fifth graders. It's true.
you do, yeah.
It's
But
true.
all right, man. So I know we had a little scheduling conflict there.
Yes, we
So
did. That was my fault.
no, it's cool. It's so cool. All right, bud. Thank you for being on here.
Thank you, Dan,
And
for having me. And
yeah,
I
no
look forward
problem.
to rooming with you in August, brother.
Dun 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 dun.